From the Oklahoma newsroom, this is an OSU update. I'm Jenny Carlson here with John Helsley. John, the Cowboys are getting dangerously close to the end of the non-conference schedule. Dangerous just because that conference schedule opens up pretty tough for the Cowboys. We'll talk about that in a second. Let's talk first about freshmen and their impact, because we knew that the Cowboys were going to be reliant on Juwan Evans, Phil Forte, some of those veteran guys, but they've seemed to have gotten a pretty decent amount out of their freshmen. What's been the impact in your mind to this point?
I think the impact's been great, and Brad Underwood talked in the preseason about how much he loved this freshman class. You hear that a lot of times from coaches, but he's backed it up by playing these guys. He says if you're going to practice hard for him and work hard, you're going to play. He's played these guys. They've been in critical moments of games. They've played critical roles in games. 5 freshmen, and all have contributed in some way or another.
Well, we saw a lot of contributions in a game at Wichita State over the weekend, and as I mentioned, non-conference play soon to come to an end. A couple more games left out there for the Cowboys, but at this point, sort of wrap your head around what you've seen, what they feel like they know as a team at this point about things.
Well, I think they have to feel pretty good about themselves. They've played a very solid schedule. They won a couple of very good games in Maui, over UConn and Georgetown. Those were solid wins. Went on the road to Maryland. There were 17,000 there at that game. They could have won that game, lost by a point. Won at Tulsa, another good crowd. And then the big moment, I think, for them was this past Saturday. They go to Wichita State. Very good crowd, very loud crowd at the beginning. Cowboys hushed them up and really won big, led by 25 with 4 minutes to go in the game. And that was it's their best performance of this season and really sets them up well.
Well, and you know, John, at this point, as I mentioned, we'll talk about the conference schedule. It's looming here pretty soon in a second, but at this point, you gotta like the resume that this team has built as it relates to NCAA tournament play. I mean, maybe don't have every win in the non-conference, but have played some opponents that have good names, have good records, and now this big Wichita State win. NCAA selection committee, if they were to sit down today, they'd have to like what they saw in the Cowboys.
I think you're right. And, when they went to Maui, I think the thought was if we could go there and win a game. That was sort of the thought at that time. With the team, new coach, new system, it's a very difficult tournament, a lot of big-time teams there. And they not only won 2 games, but they beat 2 opponents that everybody knows, UConn and Georgetown. All right, and then, as you say, the Wichita State win. This is a team that was right on the outside of the top 25 last week. Went into a building that was full of golden-clad Wichita State fans and put it on the Shockers. And I think this team really has to be feeling good about themselves, and I think people nationally are starting to take notice as well.
Well, what about the conference? I mean, obviously we're not there yet, but next week we will be. It'll be a conference opener week when you look ahead, when you consider what's left in the non-conference. But then as this conference slate gets kicking, it's not really easy. What strikes you about these early conference games for the Cowboys?
The thing that stands out is how difficult the start of the season is. They get to open at home, which has not been the case very often in recent years, but they get West Virginia, a top 10 team that's playing very well. That'll be a big opening game for them because in that first few weeks of games, they still have to go to Texas, they go to Baylor, they go to Kansas. And so a tough road stretch to start the season. Iowa State comes to Gallagher-Iba, another very good team. So they're going to play the best teams in the league right out of the gate.
All right, lots of great basketball left, at least we hope so. Be sure to stay with the best coverage team anywhere at newsok.com and every day in the Oklahoman.